Picture this. A quiet classroom, a shy girl minding her own business, when suddenly, bam. A group of bullies yanks her skirt in front of everyone, thinking they'll break her. But what happens next will leave you speechless. She spins, unleashes a jaw-dropping kick, and sends the ringleader crashing into a desk. Want a story packed with heart-pounding drama, epic twists, and a fierce comeback that'll make you cheer? Hit that subscribe button now and join our community of story lovers across the USA, and you don't miss out on this roller coaster ride. The fluorescent lights buzzed faintly in the classroom of Westbridge High, a sprawling public school nestled in the heart of a small American town, where the air always carried the faint scent of chalk dust and teenage angst. It was a Tuesday morning in early October, the kind of day where the autumn breeze slipped through cracked windows, teasing the edges of loose notebook pages. In room 204, Miss Callahan droned on about quadratic equations, her voice a steady hum that lulled half the class into a stupor. At the back of the room, 16-year-old Mia Larson sat hunched over her desk, her auburn hair tied back in a messy ponytail, her fingers nervously tracing the edge of her worn-out notebook. Mia was the kind of girl who blended into the background quiet, studious, always in oversized sweaters that seemed to swallow her slight frame. She wasn't invisible, though, not to Ethan Caldwell and his pack of cronies, who lounged in the opposite corner, their smirks sharp as switchblades. Ethan was the undisputed king of junior year, a broad-shouldered football player with a grin that could charm teachers and terrify peers. His crew, Jake, Liam, and Carter, followed his every move, their laughter a constant soundtrack to the misery they inflicted. Mia had been their target since freshman year, when she'd tripped in the cafeteria, spilling her tray of spaghetti. Across the floor, the nickname Spaghetti Girl stuck, whispered behind her back, sometimes shouted in the halls. Today, though, Ethan had something new planned. He leaned over to Jake, his voice low, but not low enough to escape Mia's ears. "Watch this," he muttered, his eyes glinting with malice. Mia's stomach tightened. She knew that tone. It was the prelude to humiliation, as Ms. Callahan turned to scribble an equation on the board. Ethan slid out of his seat, moving with the lazy confidence of someone who knew he'd never face consequences. Jake and Liam stifled snickers, their phones already out, ready to capture whatever was coming. Mia's heart pounded as she sensed movement behind her. She kept her eyes on her notebook, praying they'd pass her by. They didn't. In one swift motion, Ethan grabbed the hem of Mia's skirt, a modest, knee-length denim number she'd chosen specifically to avoid attention, and yanked it upward. The classroom erupted in gasps and laughter. Mia froze, her face burning as the cool air hit her legs. For a split second, time seemed to stop. The gears, the snickers, the weight of 30 pairs of eyes, it all crashed over her like a tidal wave. Asterisk, but something else stirred in Mia. As something buried deep. Something she'd kept locked away since she was 12 years old. Her father, a former martial arts instructor, had taught her the basics of Taekwondo before he'd left her life for good. "It's not about fighting," he'd said, his voice steady as he guided her through kicks and blocks in their cramped garrote. "It's about standing up." Mia hadn't practiced in years, but the muscle memory was there, coiled like a spring. As Ethan laughed, still holding her skirt, Mia's body moved before her mind could catch up. She spun on her heel, her right leg snapping out in a perfect roundhouse kick. Her sneaker connected with Ethan's chest, and the force sent him stumbling backward, crashing into a desk with a thud that silenced the room. Asterisk, the classroom went. Still, the only sound the faint creak of the desk Ethan had collided with. Ms. Callahan whirled around, her chalk dropping to the floor. Ethan's face was a mix of shock and pain as he clutched his ribs, sprawled awkwardly across the desk. Jake and Liam's phones were still raised, but their smirks had vanished. Mia stood frozen, her legs still half raised, her breath coming in sharp gasps. She hadn't meant to kick that hard. She hadn't meant to kick at all, but the fire in her chest, the years of swallowed insults and sidelong glances, had erupted in that single moment. "Miss Larson." Miss Callahan's voice cut through the silence, sharp and disbelieving. What on earth just happened? Mia's mouth opened, but no words came out. Her classmates stared, some with wide eyes, others whispering to their neighbors. Ethan scrambled to his feet, his face red with embarrassment and fury. "She attacked me," he shouted, pointing at Mia. "She's crazy." "You pulled her skirt," a voice piped up from the front row. It was Sarah Nguyen, a quiet girl who usually kept to herself. Her words hung in the air and a few others nodded, their murmurs of agreement rippling through the room. Mia's heart raced. She wasn't alone. Not entirely. Ms. Callahan's eyes darted between Ethan and Mia, her expression torn between shock and exasperation. "Both of you, principal's office now." The walk to the principal's office felt like a march to the gallows. Mia's legs trembled, but she kept her head high, refusing to let Ethan see her crumble. He stalked beside her, muttering under his breath about how she'd pay for this. The principal, Mr. Hargrove, was a stern man with a reputation for fairness but little patience for disruption. As Mia and Ethan sat across from his cluttered desk, Mia braced herself for the worst. She expected suspension, maybe worse. She'd never been in trouble before, not like this. "Explain," Mr. Hargrove said. His voice clipped as he leaned back in his chair. Arms crossed, Ethan went first, spinning a tale of how Mia had overreacted to a harmless prank, played the victim card hard, his voice dripping with indignation. Mia's stomach churned as she listened, but when it was her turn, she spoke quietly, her voice steady. She told the truth, Ethan's bullying, the skirt incident, the years of taunts. She didn't mention the kick's precision or her training. She didn't want to sound like she was bragging. Mr. Hargrove listened, his expression unreadable. When she finished, he turned to Ethan. "Asterisk, is this true?" he asked. Ethan scoffed, but his confidence faltered under Mr. Hargrove's gaze. "Was just a joke," he mumbled. "She didn't have to go all ninja on me." Mr. Hargrove sighed, rubbing his temples. "Ethan, you're suspended for 3 days. Bullying is not a joke. Mia, you're getting a warning. Physical retaliation isn't the answer, no matter the provocation. Both of you, back to class." Mia's relief was tempered by the weight of Ethan's glare as they left the office. She knew this wasn't over. Bullies like Ethan didn't back down, they doubled down. By lunch, the story had spread like wildfire. Phones buzzed with videos of the kick, shared and reshared across group chats. Some called Mia a hero. Others called her unhinged. She sat alone at her usual table in the cafeteria, picking at her sandwich, when Sarah Nguyen slid into the seat across from her. "That was badass," Sarah said, her eyes bright. "Where'd you learn to kick like that?" Mia hesitated. She hadn't talked about her dad in years, not since he'd walked out after her mom's cancer diagnosis. The taekwondo lessons were one of the few good memories she had of him. "My dad taught me," she said finally, her voice soft. "A long time ago." Sarah nodded, not pushing for more. "Well, you should keep it up. Ethan's not going to let this go." Sarah was right. Over the next few days, Ethan's crew upped their game. They didn't touch Mia's clothes again. That was too risky after the suspension, but they found other ways to torment her. Notes slipped into her locker with crude drawings. Whispers in the halls that grew louder when teachers weren't around. A spaghetti girl meme that circulated on social media, complete with a badly edited photo of Mia's face on a plate of pasta. Mia tried to ignore it, but each jab chipped away at her resolve. Then came the first twist. On Friday, as Mia walked home through the wooded shortcut behind the school, she heard footsteps behind her. She turned to see Jake and Liam, their faces set in grim determination. "Ethan wants to talk," Jake said, his tone menacing. Mia's pulse quickened. She was alone, and the path was deserted. Her taekwondo training flickered in her mind. But 2 against 1 wasn't a fair fight. Before she could respond, a figure stepped out from behind a tree. It was Sarah, holding a lacrosse stick like a weapon. "Back off," she said, her voice steady. Jake and Liam exchanged glances, clearly not expecting resistance. They muttered something under their breath and retreated, disappearing into the woods. Mia let out a shaky breath. "Thanks," she said. Sarah shrugged, but her eyes were fierce. "I've been watching them. They're cowards without Ethan. But you need to be careful. Ethan's planning something big." Mia didn't know what big meant, but she felt the storm coming. She spent the weekend training in her backyard, dusting off her old taekwondo gear. Her mom, weakened from chemo, but still sharp, noticed the change. "You're fighting again," she said one evening, her voice soft but proud. Mia nodded, unable to explain the mix of fear and determination swirling inside her. Monday brought the second twist. As Mia arrived at school, she found the halls buzzing with a different kind of energy. Someone had leaked a video not of her kick, but of Ethan and his crew planning the skirt incident. The footage, grainy but clear, showed Ethan laughing as he plotted the prank, boasting about how it would put Spaghetti Girl in her place. The video had been posted anonymously on the school's unofficial Instagram page, and by first period, it had gone viral. Ethan's reputation took a hit. Teachers whispered in the staff room, students pointed and stared, and even his football teammates gave him side-eye. Mia didn't know who'd leaked the video, but she had her suspicions. Sarah's sly smile during lunch confirmed it. "You didn't," Mia whispered, stunned. Sarah winked. "I know a guy who knows a guy. Ethan's not as untouchable as he thinks." The video shifted the tide, but it also made Ethan desperate. A cornered bully was a dangerous one, and Mia knew it. That afternoon, as she left the library, Ethan cornered her in the empty hallway. His face was a mask of fury, his fists clenched. "You think you're clever, huh? You and your little friend?" Mia stood her ground, her heart hammering, but her stance steady. "Leave me alone, Ethan." He stepped closer, towering over her. "Or what? You gonna kick me again? Try it." Before Mia could respond, a teacher's voice echoed down the hall. Ethan backed off, but his eyes promised retribution. Mia knew she couldn't keep dodging him forever. She needed a plan. That night, Mia confided in her mom, who listened quietly before pulling out an old photo album. Inside were pictures of Mia's dad in his taekwondo days, his black belt gleaming. "He wasn't perfect," her mom said, "but he taught you to be strong." Use that. Inspired, Mia reached out to her old taekwondo coach, Master Kim, who ran a small dojo downtown. He was a wiry man in his 50s, with a calm demeanor that hid a fierce intensity. When Mia explained her situation, he didn't hesitate. "Come to the dojo," he said. "We'll train." For the next 2 weeks, Mia trained harder than she ever had. Master Kim pushed her through drills, sharpening her kicks, teaching her to channel her fear into focus. Sarah joined her, not as a fighter, but as a sparring partner and cheerleader. The dojo became Mia's sanctuary, a place where she wasn't Spaghetti Girl, but a warrior reclaiming her strength. The third twist came during the school's annual talent show, a chaotic event where students performed for a packed auditorium. Mia hadn't planned to participate, but Sarah convinced her to do a taekwondo demonstration. "Show them who you are," Sarah said. Mia agreed, nervous but determined. She choreographed a routine, blending kicks and spins with music, a display of grace and power. The night of the show, the auditorium was electric. Mia waited backstage, her heart pounding as she adjusted her dobak, the traditional taekwondo uniform. When her name was called, she stepped into the spotlight, the crowd a sea of faces. She moved with precision, her kicks slicing the air, her spins fluid and fierce. The audience was silent at first, then erupted in cheers. For the first time, Mia felt seen not as a victim, but as someone unbreakable. But Ethan had other plans. As Mia took her final bow, a group of his friends in the back started chanting "Spaghetti Girl." The words cut through the applause, and Mia's heart sank. She saw Ethan in the crowd, smirking, his phone raised to record her humiliation. The chant grew louder, and Mia felt the old panic creeping in. Then came the final twist. From the wings, Sarah stepped out holding a microphone. "Enough," she shouted, her voice booming through the auditorium. The chanting stopped, and all eyes turned to her. "You think it's funny to bully someone? To humiliate them? Let's see how funny it is when the truth comes out." Sarah held up her phone, and the auditorium's projector screen lit up with a new video. It was a compilation clips of Ethan and his crew harassing not just Mia, but other students over the years. The footage was damning. Ethan tripping a freshman, Jake stealing a kid's backpack, Leah mocking a girl's weight. The crowd gasped, then booed. Ethan's smirk vanished as he realized what was happening. The video ended with a text overlay. "Bullies don't win. Stand up." The auditorium erupted in applause, this time for Sarah and Mia. Ethan and his crew slunk out. Their heads down, their reign over. Mia felt tears prick her eyes, not from sadness, but from relief. She wasn't alone anymore. Asterisk in the weeks that followed, Westbridge high changed. The leaked videos sparked a school-wide anti-bullying campaign, led by Sarah and a group of students who'd been inspired by Mia's courage. Ethan's suspension was extended, and his football captaincy was revoked. Mia continued training at the dojo, not just for self-defense, but for herself. She and Sarah became inseparable. Their friendship a quiet strength that carried them through the rest of high school. Years later, Mia would look back on that autumn as the turning point of her life. The girl who'd once cowered in the shadows had learned to stand tall, to fight not with fists, but with resilience. She never saw her dad again, but she carried his lessons with her, a legacy of strength that no bully could ever take away. Wow, what a journey. Did Mia's epic kick and Sarah's bold stand against the bullies give you chills? We want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and let us know which part of the story hit you hard to stand. Tell us where you're watching from, whether it's New York, London, California, or anywhere else in the USA or UK. Your comments fuel our storytelling, so don't hold back, share your thoughts, and let's keep the conversation going.